Good morning. My name is Andrea Beer, and I'm here today to talk to you about our job posting platform called Handshake. Today, we're going to talk about our job posting platform called Handshake. We're going to talk about what it is, why we transitioned from Purple Briefcase to Handshake, what that looked like as far as your employer accounts, and then we're going to dive in and talk about what it looks like, what your account looks like, from the company profile to how to post jobs, renewing jobs, how to view applicants, and much more. So we'll go over that today. And then at the end, we'll look at the student side, and then we'll talk about how you can reach me if you do have any questions. All right, so what is Handshake? So Handshake is our job repository where we post on-campus jobs for students as far as work study and student hourly. But not only do we house those jobs, but we also have jobs in there for students that are out in the community, part-time, full-time, internships. There's also networking opportunities in Handshake as well. Also employment fairs, job fairs put on by other institutions as well as employers. So we'll go over all of that, how to access that, but Handshake is our job repository for on-campus positions as well as off-campus. All right, so let's talk about why we have Handshake and kind of how that started. So previously we used a job platform called Purple Briefcase. We had that for about 3 years, but our contract ended June 30th and we started Handshake on July 1st of 2022. The reason why we changed is because not only do we use Handshake now, but also our partner colleges in the CCCS system all use Handshake. We were the first to onboard because our contract had ended so quick with Purple Briefcase, but we are the first in the system to transition. But we also have Pueblo Community College, Front Range Community College, Red Rocks Community College, all transitioning to Handshake. So if a student is transitioning from one community college to the other, they're already familiar with our platform as well, and it should be a seamless process. But not only do our sister colleges use Handshake, all of our four-year partners use Handshake as well. So for example, UCCS uses Handshake. So if our students were to transition and move on to, for example, UCCS, the student would already know how to use the platform and make that seamless as well. So those are the both two perks, to having Handshake. But not only that, we have access to more employers, so more job opportunities for our students. They also have a single place that they can go to connect with us in the community college system. And they can also post with our four-year partners as well. So overall, I think it's a good change for our students. I think it's intuitive, and I hope you find that as well. But the students will be able to use Handshake throughout their journey here at Pikes Peak and also beyond if they do transfer to another institution in Colorado or another community college. So that's a little bit about why we changed. And next, I'll kind of talk about kind of what that transition looked like. So we did have about 6 weeks to transition from Purple Briefcase to Handshake. Typically, the process takes about 8 weeks, so we did it a little faster just because our contract with Purple Briefcase was ending June 30th, so we had to move quickly. So what I did on the back end to make it a seamless process is I moved over all of our on-campus employers. So all of our work study and student hourly employers were automatically moved over into the new system as well as their job postings. So you should see your postings that you had in Purple Briefcase that are moved over to Handshake. Those will all be in there. We can, we'll talk about how to duplicate those so you don't have to reinvent the wheel each time you post. So those are already in there. You should have accounts set up. But for whatever reason, if you do not have an account already created or you're having issues logging in, please reach out to me. I'll put my contact information at the end of the video here, but feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. So now let's explore and kind of dive into the platform. All right, so this here is your overview page. So it's kind of an overview of all of the jobs that you have. any interview requests, any events, and we'll talk about all the sections a little bit later here too. But I do want to mention you will log in with your PPCC email address and password that you created. I am currently working on single sign-on for employers, but that'll be taking a little bit, so we'll hopefully have that soon, but I'll certainly send out more information once I have it. But for now, you will use your PPCC email address and the password you created. But if for whatever reason you can't remember your password, there is a button where you can reset it, or feel free to reach out to me and I can send you that link as well. But this is the homepage that you'll see once you log in. Mainly what we'll be working on is this left side here. But you will see any jobs that you currently have posted, any upcoming career fairs that you've registered for, and we'll talk here a little bit about that later. But over here, I want to talk about your two different profiles. So the first profile is your profile as an employee. So you can add a picture, you can add your current, any external links that you would. It's completely up to you what you would like to put on your account. But this is helpful if you post a job and a student wants to learn more about their potential employer, they can click on your profile. And then the company profile you'll see next is your department. So in Handshake, each department is their own company. So for example, the advising and testing office has their own company. And this is where you can add as many people as you need to that are hiring managers. So if your department has multiple supervisors, we can add all supervisors here. And we can also do divisions within the company. So for example, you have the call center supervisor and you have the admissions supervisor. You can add them both there under this company. And so feel free to reach out to me if you need help setting that up on the back end. More than likely, they already have been set up for your company, but if you don't see it, please reach out to me and I'd be happy to set that up for you. But this company profile would be your whole department. You can add a picture to it. You can add a little bit about your department, any contact information. It'll have any jobs that you have currently posted. Staff list. So if you have multiple people in your department that want to show up here, they can. And then also you'll have an employer trust score, which don't worry about that. That's mostly for our external employers. All right. And then you also will see a review section and an interview section. So the student is now has the opportunity to write a review about their employer. All of the reviews go to career services to vet before we post them. But if the review has been approved, it will show up on your company profile. And then also you'll see the interview section, and with Handshake, you do have the opportunity to interview through Handshake. So if you do have any scheduled, they would show up there as well. All right, now let's get to the fun part, the job section. And so that's where you'll mainly be in Handshake. And so under the job section, you'll see any jobs that you currently have posted, any that have expired. And I will tell you, any jobs that you have had in Purple Briefcase that you're not currently posting will be in the expired section. And we'll kind of talk about how you can move those into active. But they will all show there, so you can just click on the various sections of active, expired, all, and it'll show up all of the positions in there. Now, say you want to duplicate a position that you posted for fall, repost it for spring. All you have to do is click on the job posting there, and you'll see the overview section, view any applicants if you previously had any school that you're connected to, which as on-campus supervisors, you will only be connected to Pikes Peak anyway. You'll see any matches that you received with your job postings, any applicants would be here, and then also job details would be here. Now, if you're looking to copy the position from fall to spring, all you have to do is go over to this right-hand side under more actions and select duplicate job. It will duplicate everything that you have currently, so you don't have to edit anything except the job title. And then you'll press submit, and then It'll go to Career Services to review. So I just clicked on duplicate. It already has everything in there. So I'm going to go ahead and change fall to spring. And then you'll always want to make sure you select on-campus student employment. Employment type would be part-time, and then duration would be temporary. You do have the opportunity to put a start and date for the contract. That is completely up to you if you'd like to include that in there. If not, you can skip it. And as far as, is this a work study job? So if it is work study, you're going to want to put yes. But if it is a student hourly position, you'll want to put no. And then down here at the bottom, we do have a new section. And so this is where you can speak with students before they apply. So if a student has questions about your job, but they're not ready to apply, you can schedule time through Handshake to meet with those students. It's completely optional, but if you want to do that, you would just go ahead and put yes. And then, or you can put no, you'd rather have the candidate apply and then you'll reach out to them. So it's completely up to you, but there is an added feature in Handshake for that. And then we'll go ahead and put details, or go to next, and it'll take you to the details section. So you'll see the description. And so unlike Purple Briefcase, it is only one section, so which is nice. So you can copy and paste anything there. The requirements for the description have not changed. So you'll still want to include a mission statement, the campus that you're at, job description, 2 to 3 student learning outcomes, and then the EEO statement at the bottom. And when you submit a job, I'll be looking over it anyway, so I can certainly let you know if you're missing anything, but that those requirements have not changed. And then right below that, you'll see how many students do you expect to hire for this position. You will be required to put in a number, but it's more for your records. The students do not see that. And then here's salary on the next section. You'll put in the salary, and then job location. You can add one or more campuses. So if you have a student or you have a position that reports to Centennial, Downtown, and Rampart, you can put all 3 locations in there. And so with Handshake as well, you can have 1 posting per campus, or you can have 1 posting that incorporates all 3 campuses. It's completely based off preference, but just know that you can add more than 1 campus on here. And then at the bottom here, you'll have required documents. And so you'll want to include a resume, so that will be required, but you also have the option of including or making the cover letter transcript requirement as well. Other documents you could do course schedule, you could do portfolio, so you can require those things. However, please do not require an award letter. There are other ways you can reach out and find that information. You can reach out to myself, or you can reach out to financial aid to obtain that information, but you do not want to require the award letter. If that changes, I will certainly let everyone know. But at this time, please make sure you only do resume, cover letter, portfolio. All right, so we'll go ahead and go to the next section. And so this section is for preferred qualifications. So if you have a preference on a certificate program, so for example, if you're hiring for graphic design and you want a student in that program, you can select this on here where it lets them know those are your preferred. It does not exclude any students. So if a student is not in that program, they'll still be able to apply. But it will encourage the students in that program to apply. And then if you don't want to restrict it at all, you're open to everyone, you can skip this section as well. And then here at the bottom, you'll see the applicant package. And so what that section is who's going to receive those applications. And so you can have them go to one person, a general inbox, or you can have them go to multiple people, and that you would select down here. So you can also have a summary of the job, of when it expires, all of your applicants, and then you can also email every time a new student applies. And that's what I recommend, just so you're on top of it and the student's notified sooner than later as well. And then I would also recommend send all applicants, because you don't necessarily want to only send applicants who match the preferences, just because you would receive more candidates that way, and then also wouldn't weed anybody out as well. So I do recommend emailing every time a new student applies and then sending all applicants. And then it would be up to you if you want a summary or not on that job. And also you will be notified when the job expires as well, if you did want to renew that posting. So typically we post the positions for a month to 2 months, just so we're not having positions that have already been filled still open. But please reach out to me if you do need a job extended or close before that deadline. I'd be happy to change that for you. All right, and then when we go to the next section, it's going to be who or what school is going to is this position for. So you should have Pikes Peak State College already populated here, but if you do not, you can search schools here, and then it'll ask you for a start date, an end date, or apply date. So you would have a start date here and then an expiration date here. You can also put it down to the minute. So if you wanted 5:01 on a Friday, you can do that. But you will be required to put a start date and an end date. And then we'll go ahead and press next here, and then it will give you an overview of that job. So this is what the student's going to see. So it'll have your company profile picture. It'll have a little bit about your department. So your main office address, how many employees you typically have, but this also the application close date. It'll have the description, and then it'll have a little bit about your company as well. Anything that you put on that company profile would show up down here. Now, I do want to mention you can share the job now in Handshake. So if you wanted to post the position to social media, or if you wanted to send it out in an email, or if you wanted to create a flyer, you can also add a QR code by taking the link that you receive, turning it into a QR code, and then posting it on a flyer. So that's new as well, and I hope you utilize that feature. But it's going to, you can share the job posting, and when a student clicks on the link, it will take them to log into Handshake, and then it'll take them to your job posting directly. All right, and so once it's complete, everything looks good, you're going to go ahead and click save at the bottom here. And then what's going to happen is it's going to go to Career Services to review, just to make sure everything looks good, that there's no typing or spelling errors or something that you may have missed. But once it's good to go, we'll go ahead and push it out to the students, and the students will be notified if they have their preferences set for that. So feel free to reach out to me if you do have any questions. And like I said, I'll include my information at the end of the video. And then also, if you click on the job section here, if you had a couple applicants, we can take a look at those. And so if you go to the job section and then you select the job that you're looking at, and you'll see the applicant says 1 applicant here for this job. So you can go ahead and click on it. It'll list all of your applicants. And so it'll have their name, the school, which would be Pikes Peak State, the status, any preferences that you've set, and if they match those, and then the day they applied, and then also their documents that they uploaded. Now, with the status, you can change that at any time. So when a student applies, the status you're going to see is pending. And so you can update that information. So once I review their resume, I can select reviewed. And so with this, the student is going to receive a notification when you change anything as far as the status. So now that I've reviewed the status, the student is going to get an email saying their application is now being reviewed, which is nice. So the student will get a notification each time their status changes. And also, if you have declined the student, if they don't meet the work study eligibility requirements, you can select to decline, and it's going to pop up with a message saying, thank you for your interest and application. we've decided not to move ahead with the application at this time. This is a template that you can use, that you can send directly through Handshake to notify the student that they have not been selected, that you're not moving forward with their application. It's completely optional if you'd like to use this. If you do not want to use it, you select decline with no email. Or if you do want to use the template just as is, you can go ahead and send declined. Or if you want to change the wording a little bit before you send it out, you certainly can. It is editable. So that is there for you to use if you'd like to. And then also with hired, the student would be notified as well. However, I do recommend still reaching out to the student via phone, email, letting them know that you've hired them and what the next step is. Please hired when the student accepts the position as well, just so we can go back in and verify that you did hire that student, because now it is required that all of our students that are hired hourly and work study have to apply through Handshake. So there will be a section on the contract now for career services to sign in and make sure that the student went through Handshake. So make sure that you are selecting hired on the students that you do proceed with. And if you do have more than one application, you can select the download all button, and it would download all of the applicants' resumes and documents that they have uploaded. And I forgot to mention earlier, if you do want to edit any of your positions, it's very easy to do so. All you have to do is click on the job section here on the left, select the job that you'd like to change, and then over here on the top right side, you're going to select edit. And it's going to go back to the edit page where you can change any of the information that you need to. So very easy, and just make sure you press save at the bottom here. Now I'm going to talk about the relationship section here on the left side. You do have the ability of searching students through Handshake. I recommend using sparingly or not at all, just because it's only students that have their profile live through Handshake. When a student completes their profile, it'll ask them whether they want their profile private, viewable by employers, or viewable by all. And that's up to the student's discretion. So if they have their profile live, you would be able to search Pikes Peak Community College in the school section here. And then you would be able to search their profiles, and you could potentially reach out to them if they met some of your preferred qualifications there. So kind of, outreach there, but you are limited to 100 per company because we are on a free version for our employers. So I would recommend staying away from that or use it very sparingly. But I also do recommend creating flyers and marketing it that way instead of through Handshake, through reaching out to students this way. And then the school section, you'll mainly skip that one as well, only because you'll only be recruiting our students here at Pikes Peak State. But you should see Pikes Peak State show up here in your school section. If you do not, please let me know, and I can make sure that you are added. And then down here at the bottom, you'll see contacts, and that is, those are people that are connected with your company. So anybody that's in your department that you want access to Handshake, they would be listed here as well. And you can change their preferences or account settings as well if you are the supervisor over the Handshake accounts, and I can edit any of the positions as well. So if someone leaves your department, I can edit their access as well. But the administrator for your department in Handshake can as well. And then down here, I want to talk about the meeting section. So we do have an event section, and that's where you can post any hiring events that are going on, within Pikes Peak community. Pikes Peak State College. And so mainly career services will be adding our events here, any on-campus hiring fairs, that we do each semester will be posted here. If we have the nursing department that does hiring fairs as well, we can post those for students. But all of the events that you could potentially post would need to go through career services. So at this time, we're only allowing career services and related career events in here. But if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Down here, I want to talk about the scheduling piece as well. So the first one, you'll see scheduling. That's where you can set your availability to meet with students that haven't applied to your positions yet. So if you, on the application, you selected that you wanted to speak with students before they applied, this is where you would set your schedule. So you would just click on new schedule here, and you would select the schedules for myself next, and then you would schedule those time blocks, and you can have it as a 1 day only, or you can have it repeat as well. So that is there for you to use. Now, at the bottom here as well, you'll see on-campus interviews, and that's where you could schedule time directly through Handshake to meet with students, whether it's in person or virtual. So if you have a student that you want to move forward, you want to interview them, you can set your time up in here and send the student a link to select a time slot that works best for them. So you would pre-plan that, and then they would get your availability and they would select it right through Handshake. And then also the student would be notified in Handshake of their upcoming interviews. It's not required that you use this feature, but it is available for you to use. If you do prefer using Outlook instead, you certainly can. But I will tell you the student will not be notified through Handshake since it is not in Handshake. But feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about this as well. But it's just another thing you can use in Handshake. And then at the bottom, we have the fair section. And so I would also recommend skipping this section as well, only because it's mainly for our external employers. They can register for events for other colleges, any career fairs that they have going on. They could register right through Handshake. I will be posting our on-campus supervisor career fair in here, which you could register that through Handshake, but I'll send more information on that a little bit later. But that is that section. All right. Now I want to go ahead and talk about the student side as well. So we will go ahead and talk about that here in a minute. Let me go ahead and switch gears here. One thing I want to mention as well in the job section is students are not automatically, students' eligibility status is not automatically uploaded into Handshake. So when you do see that a student is not eligible for WorkStudy, that may not be true. At this time, we're working on that. We're trying to make sure that we're FERPA compliant if we do upload that information, but that's something that's coming. So, but I want you to be aware that all students are not eligible for WorkStudy according to Handshake. So when you do interview the student, you can ask them there as well, or you can verify with myself or financial aid as well on that status. But make sure you're not requiring that a WorkStudy award letter is being uploaded, just because we want to make sure we're FERPA compliant there. But just be aware that the students will show as a no, they're not awarded WorkStudy when you look at their application. Which may not be the case. So just be aware of that. And I'll email with any additional information I have about that. Alrighty, now let's go ahead and look at the student side. I want to cover a little bit of login information first. A student will be able to use their single sign-in login, so that'll be their student ID number and portal password. To log in. So when they first log in, it's going to ask them to put in those credentials. If it does not work for whatever reason, please have them contact career services. either they haven't had an account set up for them. We do upload students each semester, but if they miss that window a little bit from when we pull the report to the next report, they may need an account created, which is very easy process. Just please reach out to myself or career services, and we can certainly get them an account. But once they log in, they're going to be asked a whole bunch of questions. And so those questions are there to kind of get a sense of what the student's looking for, whether their career path, are they looking for on campus versus off campus, full-time, part-time, internships, what are they looking to get out of Handshake, whether it's networking, looking for a job, researching employers. So it'll kind of ask them what they're looking for. And then also, what kind of company are they looking for? Is it small business, corporate? Is it, are they looking for something that's more flexible? But it'll ask them a whole bunch of questions to kind of tailor those jobs that they see. And so on the homepage, if they scroll down a little bit, they're going to see a whole bunch of jobs that are suggested to them. And so that's where those questions come in handy. So if I'm working with a student that's interested in nursing and they select healthcare fields, nursing, these jobs are going to tailor to them and what they're looking for. So they'll see those types of jobs here, whether, the ones that are expiring soon. We'll still have the on-campus job section. And it also recommend employers for them as well. So all of this section is tailored to them by the preferences they set when they first set up their profile. And if you're working with a student that is going for nursing and then midway through the semester, they decide that that's not what they want to do, they want to do dental assisting instead, they could change their preferences to match that. So then the jobs would be tailored to their new career. And we'll kind of go a little bit later on where to find that and how to change that information. But the first thing that they'll see is their homepage. And then up here on the top right-hand side, you'll see two tabs here. The first one, attend an event. So students will be able to attend on-campus events such as student job fairs or career fairs hosted with employers in the community. And then there's a make your profile stand out. So just like you as an employer, a student has a profile as well. And so if they click this, it'll give them, or it'll ask them specific questions to help fill out their profile. And we'll get into that in here in a little bit. But over here on the left side, you'll see jobs, events, and employers. And so we're going to go ahead and go over the job section first. And that's where the student is going to find every single job that's listed in Handshake. Currently, we have 2.6 thousand and it grows every day, I will tell you. But if a student doesn't want to look through 2.6 thousand, I don't blame them. All they're going to want to do is go ahead and on the top right side, click on campus. And so this is going to filter those 2.6 thousand jobs to only on-campus jobs. So these would include work study positions and student hourly positions. So currently at this time we have 28. It'll filter those, and then a student can scroll here on the left side to see what's available and then apply. And so, for example, this one here, computer lab assistant, all of the jobs are going to be formatted the same. So it'll have the title of the position, what campus they're going to report to, what department, what term, and then if it's work study, student hourly, or both. So all positions will have that same format. And then if they scroll down a little bit more, it's going to give them more information on the application. So as far as deadline, what date was posted, what are the date ranges of the job, salary, and if it's work study eligible. And then down here, you're going to see the job description. And then below that, you'll see preferences. And so if a student doesn't meet all of these requirements, they'll still be able to apply, but it'll let you know that they don't meet all of your preferred qualifications. Now down here is about the company as well. So this is about the department. And then here all the way at the bottom, they're going to see similar jobs as well. And so if a student is interested in this position, they'd like to apply, all they have to select is quick apply. And so it'll ask them to attach a resume. If they already have one in their document section, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, it'll auto-populate. But if they do not, it'll ask them to upload a new resume, and then they'll select submit application. And when they do select submit application, you are going to receive an email with their application to review and then go through that process there. So very simple on the student side on how to apply. If a student is working with you and they're interested in one of your positions, but they don't have time to apply now, all they have to select is this ribbon button here, and it'll go to saved. And so up here on the top left, you'll see a save section, and it's going to go there so they can come back to it later to apply. And then also, if a student is looking for off-campus jobs, not necessarily work study or hourly, a student can filter by location, whether it's full-time, internship, part-time, location, keywords, but a student is able to view, search through those avenues as well. Now here at the top left, you'll see events. And so that's where a student will find any events that are posted by Pike Speak. So if we have an on-campus job fair, that would be posted there. If we're working with the nursing department and have a hiring fair there, we would post it as well. A student would be able to register. And it also, not only is it on campus, but it can also be virtual events as well. And just like jobs, they can save events as well here. Right. And then if we go to the employer section, a student has the option to follow employers. And what that means is a student would be notified of any jobs that the company is posting, as well as events. So for example, if a student has always wanted to work for Disney, they can search the Disney company, and they would be able to view a little bit more information about them as far as what positions they have currently posted, and they'll be notified if there are any new job postings, as well as any events. And then a student can follow and unfollow employers at any time. Right, so now I want to go ahead and talk about this right side over here. So a student has an inbox through Handshake, and so they'll be notified of any status updates with their applications, any events that they've registered for, as well as any messages from employers encouraging them to apply for various jobs, or networking opportunities would be posted here. And then also a student would receive an email in their student email saying, you have a message in Handshake, check it out. And then over here to the right, you'll also see the Career Center. And so this has Career Center information. So does need updated, I will tell you, and I'll update that here shortly, but it'll have our contact information from our website to phone number to email, any resources we have for the student. So we'll have the link to the Focus 2 assessment, our website, so just any additional information. And then also if we have any surveys going on for the students currently, they would be posted there as well. And then over here, you'll see TS, in which that typically is the student's initials. So this one is currently test student, but it'll be the student's initials there. And so that's how the student will find all of these quick links to do different things in Handshake. So the first one that they're going to see is My Profile. And so they can fill this out. They can fill out whichever parts they'd like to, or skip certain parts of it. It's completely up to the student of what their comfort level is in filling this out. So they can add a picture, they can add a little bit about them, any education, work and volunteer experience, different organizations and extracurricular activities, any relevant courses, any projects that they've done. They could add all that information there. And then also they can include interests, and then also other students here at the bottom that they may relate to based off their responses here. And then they can add any skills, and then here at the bottom, they can add up to 3 documents. So they could add their resume if they want their resume viewable on their profile. So that means If they have their profile viewable by employers, an employer could select their profile and view their resume right on their profile, but it's completely up to the student if they want that to happen. Now, up here on the left-hand side, currently this test account is hidden from employers. But if I, as a student, wanted my profile viewable to employers and other students, I can go ahead and click on make public to make profile public to employers. And then also if a student has their profile public and then later on they decide that they don't want that anymore, they can change that in settings by going or clicking on settings right below. Right. And then let's see, right below the My Profile is the My Job section. And so what this section is it'll notify the students of any activity on their application. So it'll show the jobs that they've applied on June 23rd. This one here is being reviewed, and that was on June 22nd. So students will be notified of any status changes here as well. And then over here, we have the My Interview section, and that's where a student can view any upcoming interviews that they have. So if you, as a supervisor, set a time in Handshake to do interviews and a student signed up for one of those slots, it would show up here, whether it's virtual or on campus. But also keep in mind, if you do use Outlook to do your scheduling, it will not show up here. And then right below interviews, we have the My Document section. And so that's where a student can upload their resume, cover letter, anything like that they can include here. And then also they can have it visible on their profile. So if they check this box here with the check mark, that means it's also on my profile. And if a student has it on their profile and they want to change that, they just click that button again and it'll take it off their profile. All right, and then right below that, we'll see My Career Interests. And so these are the questions that the student is asked when they first set up their account. So it's going to ask them what type of job that they're looking for, what they're looking to get out of Handshake, as well as, you know, what they'd like to do after graduation, any roles that they're interested in, any industries. They can select one or all, as many as they want to. And then also expected graduation date. And like I mentioned earlier, if a student is interested in business right now and then they end up changing later on, they can change all of these in here. And then they would save My Career Interests and it would update that information. And then the review section here is at the bottom. And this is where a student can leave a review for any employer that they've had, whether it's outside of PPCC or within PPCC. All review just to make sure that everything looks good, and if we need to address anything beforehand, we can. But once we give the okay, then it will go to the employer's profile. And then down here, I do want to mention notifications as well. So Handshake is very proactive in sending students emails on new job opportunities and new events that are going on. So if a student selects that they're interested in work study, they're going to get notifications on new work study positions that are posted. And if a student is looking for a position, gets hired, and they're still receiving those emails and they don't want to, they can certainly change their preferences here. So they would just go to edit notification preferences and unselect whatever they don't want to receive anymore. But if they do change their mind later on, they can change this at any time as well. And then they'll just, it does automatically save, so they don't have to press save at the bottom or anything. So I think that's all I had on the student side. But I also want to just kind of remind you that student will be able to use their portal login to log into Handshake. There are also login links in the portal. We're working on getting an icon on the dashboard as well for students, and that's coming. But they'll just use single sign-on. If a student is having any issues please direct them to career services or myself to help kind of troubleshoot that. Typically, the issues that we do see is either a student doesn't have an account, which, you know, we can create one really quick. It is pretty easy to do. And also I've had students that are connected with the CCCS system instead of Pikes Peak on accident. So we can certainly move those over. There is a process for that where we reach out to Handshake. To fix, but if you do have any issues or hear of any students having issues, please direct them to myself or career services, and we'd be happy to troubleshoot those. Thank you for joining me today and talking about Handshake. Below, you'll see my information on how to contact me. There's my phone number, my email address, and also the career services line and also email address. Feel free to reach out to me at any time with any questions that you have about your account, or if you're having issues with the student or you would like additional training. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help, and I look forward to working on this with you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.